the actual meat of today. This meeting will be recorded. This webinar will be recorded, as you just heard from our Zoom friends. And your video is off. You will be muted, of course, but there is a Q&A. Please use the Q&A, especially for today's webinar, as this is much more a conversation than me and Hal standing up here and presenting to you. We think it's the best format to really get this message across, which is future-proofing AV. And it's going to be a great conversation around a smarter model for integrators. And really, to give that message, we have a special guest joining myself today, which we'll get into one second. But mainly today is going to be myself and Hal having an awesome conversation around how you as an integrator can future-proof your business, but also for any manufacturers and users on the call can learn a little bit more about how your partners are actually going to market a little bit differently as the AV market is changing. For anyone that doesn't know who I am or who Xyte is, I'm Andrew. I'm the SVP of Sales here at Xyte. Xyte, and if you don't know who the company is, we are really this one AV cloud, a single pane of glass for all of your manufacturer's gear that you leverage inside of your conference room. And it's a tool that's leveraged by really all three members of the AV value chain, from manufacturers to integrators, which is going to be the focus today, and users. But it's really the first time in this market that we are now providing a solution that brings everything that you use in your conference spaces into one spot for better management. But most importantly is, let me bring onto stage our special guest, Hal Truax, who I also, Hal, learned recently that you are a commercial integrator AV living legend, which is awesome. That should just be your go-to title from then on. But I'll let you introduce yourself a little bit more to the audience as well.
Thanks, Andrew. So I'm Hal Truax. I'm Vice President of PCD. We're a commercial integrator in Northern California. We've been up here about 45 years, and we service all of the Pro AV verticals. We have the benefit of being in wine country, so we do get to do a lot of hospitality and wine events and properties. Yeah, but I'm excited, no pun intended, but excited to speak to this because it's something that benefits everybody in the food chain, like you said, all the stakeholders. And I think it's really important that people understand how we're evolving, how we're making this a more unified ecosystem and making system operation and asset management much, much easier.
Amazing. Thank you. All right, so before we get into this chat, quick lay of the land. What are we going to be talking about today? So the majority of our conversation, I'm actually going to drop screens as we go through, so we can just have a nice little fireside chat around this whole thing. Now, what we're going to really be focusing on, though, are kind of like 3 or 4 main topics in this conversation. First one being, technology and operations. So really getting a little bit deeper into what does this mean for your day-to-day as an integrator. Then getting into the revenue and business model, not just how you make money off of this, but how it starts to ensure that your customers and your partners are ensuring the greatest value is really the big thing out of this new model of doing business. Then we're going to get into customer case studies and testimonials, and then getting a little bit into kind of where we're headed into the future. And before we have that chat, let's lay down that land. And really the reason we're talking about future-proofing AV and why we think this is so relevant today is that this mess is getting worse and worse by the day. And what this mess is conference rooms are not getting simpler or less equipment by different manufacturers. They're actually getting more. And we're seeing more manufacturers entering the space because conference rooms are becoming more mission critical. So these meeting spaces are now requiring better cameras, better mics, more speakerphones, more touch screens, AV over IP systems. This complication, although thinking that it's going to be providing better value for the customer, and it is, must be better managed. But with the increase of devices and the increase of manufacturers of types of technology in the space, the management and the assurity that these spaces are working is getting harder and harder to accomplish. And so that's really where, of course, we have come into the play here at Xyte, is to provide that one single pane of glass to provide you information for management and monitoring uptime of all of your spaces, not just your devices, and to remove any blind spots whatsoever at an end customer's installation. And that's ideally where Hal and PCD, and of course for the fellow integrators that are here on the call today, can really now focus their business rather than simply trying to find the great next new black box and adding 20 points to it. How can you reshape and reframe your business as a partner to your customers and aligning incentives between service, support, and uptime? And I think these 6 points, Hal, this is going to be key for our conversation. I know those that are actually, joined us today are probably thinking at least about one of these, whether you're an integrator, whether you're a manufacturer trying to support your integrators, or you're a user who is maybe sending out to bid a new build to different integrators. These 6 points have to be in the back of your head of how do I reduce my response time and ensuring uptime, right? That's the goal at the end of the day is I want to keep my rooms working. And if they do go down, because of course there's going to be problems, how do I ensure that downtime is smaller? How do I reduce service costs, right? Because when I do have to make that call, which will always happen, I want that cost to be lower by any means. How do I now develop new recurring revenue streams? And that's not just a capitalistic play on this whole outlook of future proofing, but how do I align incentives with recurring revenue? I want to create more partnerships, less transactions, and that gets into my loyal long-term customers. I want to optimize my operations, right, with this data from my customers. So maybe I can be more proactive with my customers than just waiting for that phone call because I have data about how things are moving. And lastly is me as an integrator is I do want to potentially look at some competitive differentiation. What makes me different providing services, better services versus those that I'm looking to compete against? So these are the 6 main points that we're going to be getting into today. But let me actually drop my screen so we can focus on our special guest, Hal. And let's move in to a couple quick questions. And I think, Hal, to really kick this off, let's get a little bit deeper into your background, because I think that actually sets us up for a really good conversation today, because you have seen kind of all 3 facets of this AV value chain. You move from the manufacturing side to the integration side, which now where you focus on delivering a solution to end users. So a couple quick questions. What drove that decision? Of course, give the audience a little bit of background about who those 2 players are that you worked for, and also maybe a little bit about what's surprised you the most about moving from the manufacturer to the integrator.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, a little bit about me. So as Andrew mentioned, so I've been on the manufacturing side for many, many years. I started in integration, then moved to manufacturing, and I've come back full circle now to integration up here at PCD. I'm super passionate about this topic, and what it's one of the few things that I think that we can do in the AV business that provides super service to our end clients, which is what we're all trying to do. We're trying to maintain these customer relationships for life, keep customers and clients for life. And one way to do that is offer them a system that delivers less downtime, that is up more often than not, and prevents any glitches. By overseeing kind of the dashboard, we're able to tell, is the system functioning 100%? And if there's something misaligned or going wrong, we get a notification, and we're able to address that many times remotely without rolling a truck, many times before the end user understands that there may be an issue with their system. And every time we're able to preempt some kind of unpleasant experience with their system before a mission critical event. And those types of things, that benefits everybody in the food chain. And you mentioned a little bit about manufacturers, and I do love the fact that the manufacturers now have really evolved from a point where people wanted to keep their APIs and their ecosystems compartmentalized. Now people are understanding the benefit of having open API and being interoperable with other manufacturers. That benefits everybody. That's why this is so exciting to me.
Yeah, that's great. Now, interop, I think is a great point. I think we actually have had a whole webinar about interop and openness. But specifically, I know at PCD, you guys transitioned from a legacy kind of homegrown solution into a more modern SaaS tool, right? Take us through that decision-making process. What were like some of the must-haves, the non-negotiables that you were looking for?
Sure. So, when we started looking, so we call our service agreements or this program where we bundle the Xyte services in, it's called our continuing support program. We saw a need to offer some service like this to our clients quite a few years ago. How can we take care of our clients in the best manner? How can we offer competitive advantages, like you mentioned? But really, how can we super serve our clients? And we did try to band-aid some things together. We had some other platforms and some homegrown solutions. Our technical team put some stuff together to where we could kind of see what's going on with our clients, and we could preempt some of this, some of the downtime, and make sure that they get the best service they can. We also bundle into this. We have 2 site visits a year. We'll tune up their system, make sure everything's working and all that type of stuff. That's part of the agreement. But what really motivated me to help PCD transition to Xyte was actually legacy knowledge I had from being on the manufacturing side with Wirestorm. We'd worked together with Sigma Cloud and tried to offer a value add service to our clients and our customers, which were integrators at the time, something that they could offer their clients, increased visibility and an ability to preempt downtime and maximize uptime. And we could do this all without charging extra for it. At the same time, we were teaching the integrators how to create a recurring revenue model. But that's what got me excited about Xyte. And I've looked at all the other platforms out there, and I really think, not that this is an Xyte commercial, but I do think it's the gold standard. That's why we have landed here. And our technicians are very happy about the seamless transition, the single pane of glass, all that stuff. So it's a win-win.
No, so you mentioned actually a great point, and I'd love to dive a little bit deeper on that before we move to our next topic. You gave some great background. You were an executive over at Wirestorm. You saw how Wirestorm was building this cloud connectivity built on the Xyte platform called Sigma Cloud, and that was a fantastic solution. Is a fantastic solution for Wirestorm management. But as the market has kind of progressed, and even now, as you being on the integrator side of PCD, you've seen this transition more to, I only buy gear that has cloud connectivity, check. Now it's, I want to buy gear and use gear that has cloud connectivity, but can be managed in a single pane of glass, because we all know it's impossible to build a conference room today with only one manufacturer of hardware. There's always going to be a minimum of 2. So especially from an integrator standpoint, how has that centralized single pane of glass kind of changed the way that your team manages AV and UC environments at your customers day to day?
Yeah, it's been a really a huge boon to our ability to properly support our customers and to give them the level of support that we promised, right? So we're able to actually, I think, to exceed their expectations in many instances. And this single pane of glass notion that is now a reality has helped our technicians, and we have somebody that monitors our clients all the time. What it has also done, though, Andrew, is it helped. Some of the clients that we have don't have a big IT team. They don't have a lot of technical people on staff, so it allows us to act as their IT people and minimize the downtime like we've talked about. But what it also does with the single pane of glass, if it's a large campus, or it could be a corporate campus, it could be a higher education campus, they generally do have IT and systems people on staff. So we're able to train them, and they can always have this single dashboard open where it monitors every asset in their ecosystem, and they can proactively, Professor Jones his classroom, he's not getting a picture because he's on the wrong input. They can quickly rectify that, but in the real time, the same time we're seeing it. So it allows them to provide, their corporate campus or their educational campus just an enhanced degree of reliability and peace of mind, really.
Yeah, that peace of mind, I couldn't agree more. I love that term for this. It is because even if you guys are staring at it, but it's also a great tool to actually showcase outward and say, here's your peace of mind. Here's where your classrooms, your conference rooms, they're all working. It's great. All right, so we actually have a poll for the audience. I think now's a good time to bring that up. So if we can launch that poll for everyone. We're going to give everyone a couple quick seconds to answer this. Just to kind of set the stage for everyone, what we want to understand is, where is your organization today in this cloud platform journey? It's really something for all three levels, as we talked about: manufacturers, integrators, and users. It affects everyone in this chain. And I think everyone's at different stages right now, as I know you've learned firsthand, Hal, and I've seen just in working with our different partners that we've got some advanced folks that are like, no, this is a non-negotiable for me. But we have others that are like, yeah, I've gotten the requests from my customers. Maybe I don't know where to start, but I know I have to get there. So I'd love to hear some more. We're going to leave this up here for just a couple more seconds to get your final answers in, and then we're going to move on to our next main topic. All right, I think we've got most of the answers in there. So that's going to be dropping in a second. There we go. All right, so Hal, what I really want to transition to in our next big topic is revenue and business models. This is something that in my meetings with the full SCN top 50 and large and small dealers around the world is always a big question is, okay, Andrew, I get the idea, right? Single pane of glass makes sense. I get it. But it's got to be incorporated into my business model, right? I'm a business. I'm a for-profit business. I have to make this work. And I think this is a great disconnect that I think you can help us connect, which is when we talk about recurring revenue, this isn't like a money grab from dealers and MSPs. It's actually the complete opposite. Yeah. By leveraging this tool, and you and I have chatted about, but I'll let you go deeper, is this is really the first time when integrating a managed service platform into your managed service business, it aligns incentives and provides transparency to everyone involved in the chain. Can you go a little bit deeper on that and what that means?
Yeah, absolutely. So I do believe this is one initiative and one service that super serves all the stakeholders. Like I talked about, it's really good for the end user. It's great for the integrator. And the more manufacturers that support this open API and AV cloud kind of initiative, I think the industry gets better. But personal experience here at PCD, we started this continuing support program, and we get testimonials from our clients all the time about what a lifesaver it's been and how much they're enjoying the continuing support program and the benefits of that. They might not remember what the name of the program is, but they surely know what the benefits are. So our clients have thanked us, for their current state of their AV system to what it previously was before we had this AV cloud kind of service through Xyte. And what it's done, it's helped us provide better service, minimize downtime, make sure that their mission critical events go off without a hitch. And at the same time, we've done some surveys with our clients. And, the traditional model that most of the integrators are familiar with are, we'll install a system, we'll provide a warranty for X amount of time, and usually that's whatever the manufacturer's warranty is. And after that period of time, it's a break fix model. And so somebody calls and they've got an issue. That integrator says, we can schedule you, we can roll a truck, and it's going to be X, minimum. And you go out and you do this break fix and you get the client up and running and their system's up and running, mission accomplished. But what we found is through continuing support with Xyte, we're able to create a recurring revenue stream, which surely helps us ongoing month to month. And as we get more support, we just keep building that recurring revenue model. But our clients have told us that, on the average, they're saving money. And our research has shown that our clients, compared to the break fix model, have realized about 27% savings over a 5-year period by enrolling in continuing support with the Xyte platform versus the common day-to-day break fix model. So it's great for the integrator to get this recurring revenue going. It's great because you have happier clients whose systems run day to day without fail. And if it is a hiccup, we surely know about it and can fix it ahead of time. But and the clients are getting a better performing system, and they're saving money. I mean, it almost seems like it's too good to be true, but we're here to say that it's real, and it's a great opportunity for everybody in the ecosystem.
Yeah, I think that study that you guys did it's maybe it's if it's not the first of its kind, it's got to be one of the greatest of its kind to finally dive in and pull back the curtain. I'm like, what is this actually saving our clients? It's one thing for us to talk about it, but that 27% in savings is huge, and I've always attributed it to being outcomes focused and not just, yeah, here's a piece of paper signed for my managed service contract, and if you got something wrong, call me, but oh, by the way, I'm going to charge you for it anyway. It's a different ball game when you're saying, no, 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 I'm going to make sure, because it actually makes me money, so I'm incentivized to ensure that your rooms are up and running. And by the way, it's actually going to save you money long term, let alone the cost savings of keeping uptime in that room higher that they're going to save internally. It's just such an awesome win-win scenario for them. So I think, Hal, this last little question I have for you, I think on this revenue section is like, for integrators that are still relying heavily on this like project-based revenue, what kind of advice would you give them in creating this stickiness and this competitive differentiation in this recurring revenue managed service platform?
It's a great word. I use that word stickiness all the time. We want to be sticky to our clients. We want to keep those clients forever. I think, and I'm available for, I'll share my contact information or whatever for people that have questions, but it's important in the way that you present this. If you're the integrator, most integrators are really comfortable about either doing bid spec stuff and we're going to do this and we bid and we got chosen for this, or design build where we create our own luck. We have referral customers. We go out and we design systems and so forth. Integrators and integration salespeople are really comfortable delivering those proposals and those contracts and getting that signature. It's not quite as innate or second nature to offer the continuing support in this recurring revenue opportunity. And what we didn't get it right from day one. What we have found now that we integrated this into the narrative of our proposal, it's part of our proposal. It's not a bolt-on at the end. Here's our proposal and here is continuing support. It's ingrained in the narrative, and we deliver the proposal with this in the price. Way down, we do have a price without it, but that's not the way we present it. It's just part of our DNA now and part of who we are, and we're seeing increased adoption and better customer satisfaction. And then, oh, by the way, our recurring revenue stream's growing.
Yeah. It's that bumper to bumper, 100,000 mile share, right?
That's what we call it. Yeah,
new car without it, right? But for some reason in the AV world, we've been doing it opposite. I think it's time to finally change. Well, that's great. I appreciate that, Hal. We have another poll here. So if our team can launch that poll, I think this is going to be the last section here. Perfect. We'd love to talk or learn a little bit more about the audience. What percentage of your revenue currently comes from recurring services? We'd love to learn a little bit more if this is something brand new for you right now, or it's something that, hey, you're already an expert. Over half of your business and incoming revenue is from recurring services. So we're going to leave this up for a couple of seconds, give you guys a second to answer this, and then we're going to jump right into our next fun section. All righty, I see a bunch of answers coming in. I think we're going to drop this poll shortly. Great. All right, Hal, let's get into our next section. I think what we really want to focus now on is it's one thing for us to talk about this, but when the rubber hits the road, let's give the audience a couple questions, a couple case studies. So okay. I think we have two case studies here to share with everybody. And Hal, I'll let you kind of kick this one off, but I believe this is a huge medical association, one of the largest for eye physicians and surgeons. I'd love for you to get a little bit deeper into kind of what you guys did and really what were some of the outcomes.
Yeah, so during the sales process and the consultation with the customer, we they shared with us kind of their frustration and kind of the pitfalls that they've experienced up until this point. So, and they really communicated that they did need more than a one-time AV install. They wanted somebody to kind of hold their hand and make sure that their system was going to work. They have a lot of mission critical events happening, and it's basically a facility that can't experience any downtime. So they were one of our early supporters in our continuing support program. And what we've been able to do, like this is what it's all about. We've been able to monitor their platform, and we've identified proactively some issues that they didn't know that they had before meetings that were going to be mission critical. Simple things like touch panels needed to be reset. Maybe there was an issue, there was an audio issue, and maybe some other things about this as source recognition, but switching and making sure things were switching to the right device and doing it seamlessly. So these are just some of the things we were able to identify from our building and fix and rectify without rolling a truck. So, so we saved money, right? Because we didn't have to roll a truck or send a technician out. The customer, it was seamless to them. They didn't experience any downtime. They had no pain point. And that's what we're trying to do. We're going to be all going to be stickier to our clients if we can remove their pain points, identify those pain points and remove them. That's what this platform helps us do. And it says backed by 24/7 availability. One of the things that we found, and again, I can coach people after the fact on this, but one of the things we found is you can set up different SLAs depending on what the customer's needs are, and you can charge differently for those. If somebody needs 8 to 10 hour support 5 days a week, that's a different price. If you're going to do 24/7, 365, you tier that. So there's a lot of opportunities and flexibilities to really tailor this to what the client needs. And again, it provides them seamless operation day to day with peace of mind. That phrase keeps coming back, but they've got extreme confidence in their system now, and everybody can go into a room and use it, and they don't have to be tentative or anxious that something's not going to work.
And I think a key thing here too, even outside of the outcomes portion, which is obviously priority one, but the way that it was positioned was that it was part of your PCD continuing support program. It wasn't, hey, sign this contract, which is a continuing support program. Oh, and by the way, here's a license to a tool. Like that kind of muddies the waters a little bit. And I think it's important, you're in front of the customer. It is your customer relationship. It should be a PCD program. Xyte's a tool that helps you deliver it, right?
That's a way to really differentiate. You mentioned that a little bit earlier today, how to differentiate, how to set yourself apart in this competitive world. We're all looking to gain these clients buy-in, trust, and long-term allegiance. Well, you do it by differentiating the way that you're doing your presentations. The value, you hear this term value add. There's nothing that represents it more than value add than this kind of continuing support in this cloud-based monitoring service. So it's great.
Exactly. And I know this was a large customer, right? And a lot of people think, I can only use, a managed service platform in the cloud for large customers. But I know this next case study, different side of the spectrum, right? A little bit smaller style customer, but still has the same needs.
Yeah. So this is the local nonprofit, and they have a ton of meetings, and they don't have an IT staff, right? They don't have a lot of money to have a bunch of technical people on staff. So they partnered with us for their conference rooms, and then they have this big event space. Actually, I went to an event last week. There was a charity event, nonprofit, and I got to be somebody in the room while this AV stuff was being used. And I came back and told our team, well, just the AV clarity and the way the room worked was perfect, which is ideal when you're trying to design something. But this small nonprofit has been singing our praises, and they're very happy with what we've done. And they didn't know something like this was available. A lot of people don't know this is an option. What you can kind of keep an eye on my system, and I don't have to employ an IT guy, and I don't have to pay a bunch of money to get somebody on site. So, it's educating them through the sales process and not making it a bolt-on. That's really important. But this peace of mind, it's bolded here, and the customer is super confident. They have novices, people that are almost technophobes sometimes using the system, and they feel very, very comfortable with it. And this is a smaller nonprofit organization without a big budget, without a big team. And you're right, it's appropriate for all of your clients and all of your customers, because it's win-win for everybody. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be a behemoth corporate client or a large higher ed campus. It can be clients of all size. One conference room is enough to add this peace of mind for them.
It's great. And for those that maybe are newer to the Xyte platform too, a big misconception is that it's an enterprise only style tool. But since it is consumption based on our end to you, our partner, you're able to pass along that same sort of model to your end customers so that you're not overpaying or underpaying for the size of the installation. So what I'm going to do now, Hal, I'm going to drop screen again. And what I'd love to do is, since I think we're at a good spot now of what's happening today, is I want to talk a little bit about what you're excited for in the future. I know a lot of this, of course, continues to revolve around AI. We're going to talk a little bit about AI, that's for sure. But before we get there, where do you see the biggest opportunities for integrators in the next, let's say 2 to 3 years, as these ecosystems do become more open and interoperable, as we've been talking about?
Yeah, well, I think it's really good time, no better time than today, for integrators to take be really introspective. They're always, all of our businesses, we're always talking about how do we offer greater value to our clients? How do we keep our clients long term? Client retention is hugely important. And the advent of this is going to allow integrators to do that, to do these things that they want to do. And it's not magic, it's not mystical, right? It's easy to learn and easy to deploy. I see a world where there's going to be certain integrators in certain geographies that are able to distance themselves from their competition by adopting this, by being open-minded and diving in and seeing really, how do I offer increased value to our customers? How do we improve client retention? So I think there's going to be this dividing line in Pro AV integration, where the customers that are the integrators that are thriving, that are building their business through a better experience by their end users, are going to do it through this. So not only are they going to keep their customers sticky, keep the stickiness to their clients, they're offering them a better experience, and at the same time, they're increasing their recurring revenue. So I think there's going to be quite a few people that are tentative, that don't want to jump in, and I'm encouraging everybody to take a look at this. It's really easy to deploy, and at the end of the day, we all want our clients to be happier. We don't want an unhappy client phone call, and this is a way that really helps. It helps everybody, and it helps the clients have a better experience.
Outcomes, right? It's got to be
always.
Yeah.
Always.
So I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about your take on AI as well. So Hal, what do you see AI kind of reshaping the integrator's role? And I'll prompt you a little bit.
Okay.
Do you see this as more automation, greater agents, self-healing? Could it replace some of your business models? Like, we'd love to kind of hear your take.
So, there's a lot of people that are nervous about AI, right? And people look at AI much differently from person to person or enterprise to enterprise. We've got some messaging internally on how we can use AI and what not to do with AI. Put certain things that are maybe financially, that would expose a private company's information by asking the wrong thing publicly in ChatGPT. But where I see it helping the integrators, and I do see it helping, I don't think it's threatening anybody's livelihoods right now. I do see it as a tool that helps us. And one of the ways that it's helping our organization is something like, programming and writing code and putting these programs together for to load onto a system. So for some of that programming is being automated a little bit through AI if you're setting up the right prompts and everything. So we can minimize how much money we're spending on tech time for programming. Let some of the AI help us with some of that stuff. The other thing it does is some rudimentary stuff that we use it for. At the end of every deployment and when we close out and commission a system, we leave a system guide behind and we leave some collateral material. Well, the time it takes for a technician to write that stuff, with a few key prompts, they can really minimize the downtime, the time that they're not producing revenue for us. They can minimize the time it takes to write this kind of narrative and system users guide. And AI has been a big boon for that. So I see it only as something positive. I don't see it as replacing anybody in the industry. I do think people have to be careful and need to learn about it before they deploy it.
Yeah. And I think you brought up a great point about the the leave behinds that you have when you're, say, signing off a job or the closing documents. I think it's a keynote also to mention to the audience. Xyte also in Connect Plus is launching for the public the availability of the Xyte Teammate, the first AI agent in AV monitoring, to allow you not just to, as you mentioned, as an integrator, write the document, but now you're able to read it and summarize it and give you guys a full synopsis about what those documents are, so you don't have to sit there every day reading through it, because you can upload it and have the agent do that for you. So exciting times with these AI agents.
Yeah, increased efficiencies for sure.
Always, right? So Hal, I think, last question before we close this out is what's next for PCD? What are you planning, guys, to continue evolving, and what are you planning to offer to stay ahead of what the customer is looking for?
Well, we're always exploring how we can do a little bit more. You mentioned machine learning. I'd like to see some more advances there, and we are looking at stuff. We are basing our whole CSP on the Xyte platform, trying to see if there's any other nodes that we can put in a system, anything else that can help us see, maybe even something like their, early leak detection in a commercial building, if you have the right device there, or monitor the health of an HVAC system and stuff like that. Then we become not just able to help them with AV, we're able to help them with building health and that type of stuff. Those types of innovations are exciting to me. And again, I think the people that figure out how to do it correctly are going to distance themselves from some of the other competition. So we're always looking at how we can provide a better experience for our clients. And now we're looking outside AV. What else can we do? AV and IT, there's more stuff in a building ecosystem, and trying to get our arms around that. I am talking to some really intelligent people in our industry that are trendsetters, and someday you'll probably have one of those people on a show just like this. But it's that type of experience that this cloud base is letting us do. It doesn't have to be limited to AV.
Well, as I know, in our own office, eating our own dog food, we're also managing our printers and even our network connected coffee maker. So we do look forward to working alongside you in that kind of next phase of building management. I think that's great.
Eating our own dog food, that's a very Microsoft thing to say. They say that internally there. But,
on a Zoom call of all things.
But yeah, that's great. And anything network, your printers, your coffee makers, your appliances, any of that stuff. Yeah.
Well, we look forward to that. I think that's fantastic, Hal. Thank you so much for your insight. I know we have one last poll here today to get some feedback from the audience. So let's launch that poll, give the audience a little bit of time to walk through that and answer it. And what it is again, focusing on AI. How far along are you with AI built into your monitoring tools? And I think it's important too to look at this even beyond just monitoring tools, but AI into your, manageability of your customers, because it does continue to evolve. So think about it, how you're leveraging it to provide, like we've been talking about, better outcomes for your customers. So we'll give everyone a couple seconds to answer that. And then we'll get into some of the Q&A that we've gotten from the audience. And Hal, we've gotten some good questions from
Great.
the audience. A couple for you, a couple for me. We do have a few minutes, so we'll get to a few of them, and we'll leave the rest for the follow-up. All right, so we're gonna leave this poll up here for just a couple more seconds, and then it'll drop. Make sure you get your last answers in. Wonderful. All right, so while we're doing this Q&A, we only have a couple minutes. I wanted to make sure that we threw our contact information out here, as we've talked a lot today. As Hal mentioned, he is such an awesome, just industry market general insight to reach out to find out some information, to just bounce ideas off of. So Hal, you were very generous enough to offer your direct email here, of course. And if anyone wants to find any more information about PCD, of course, they can go to your website there. Same with myself, guys. Would love to talk with you more about this. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach me anytime on my email, or just head to our website or LinkedIn as well. Hal, a couple quick questions. I'm looking through what we have right now. One quick one that came through is in general about this continuing support program and having a cloud-connected management platform for networked devices. The question was, what kind of pushback have you received from customers around managing their stuff on their network, and how have you addressed it?
It's a great question, because some people, initially, some people have concerns about security within their ecosystems, and it's a great question. So in some cases, if they're high-level government places, or where there's an enhanced concern about security, we do offer it a little bit differently to them. We offer the ability to monitor their systems. We can see everything that's going on. We can't dive into their system and fix it remotely. We can offer them advice and get somebody on the phone. So it's a great question, because some people are concerned. There's some casinos, there's some DoD, there's some places like that that have concerns about letting you into their system. So we're able to still monitor their system without access to their system. And it's kind of a two-tier thing. We're talking to their facilities people, and they're able to do fix the problems that we can see through that single pane of glass. It just keeps us, there's a firewall keeping us from getting into their system. It's a great question. Doesn't mean you can't help them.
Exactly. And even just, adding on to that from an Xyte side, from a technology standpoint, everything is SOC 2 Type 2 certified from Xyte platform. We're full GDPR compliant if we have any of our partners from Europe on the call. All DPAs are available for you guys to review, and also all information is encrypted, both in transit and in rest. And we're outbound only, so there's a lot of key things to have. Sit down intelligent conversations with InfoSec that, again, we're actually happy to have directly with customers or with our partners to support you on ensuring they know that anything network-based is going to be secure when it's being used.
That's a great point, Andrew. Real quick, just wanted to say Xyte is really good about that. You can feel comfortable having your clients talk to them if you don't understand the SOC 2 compliance or any of that other stuff. Xyte will get on the phone and talk to your client on your behalf.
So Hal, looks like we have time for just one or two last questions. Want to get this next one in. It was a question about users. Maybe it came from a user or it came from a dealer, but it was, you mentioned in this continuing support program that you have this, monitoring dashboard. Is that kept only for PCD employees, or do you give access to the customer as well?
The end client, if they have the means, they surely have access to the dashboard. So we provide that to them. Some people don't want to know. They just want it to all be magic, like the Wizard of Oz. We're on the other side of the curtain and we're making it happen. But some clients do have IT staff, do have technical staff, and that dashboard is available to them as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Hal. And the last question I'll just quickly answer. It was a question about, how do you actually accomplish the single pane of glass? Because there's a lot of different clouds and things that don't have clouds. It's a short answer and a long answer. I'd love to talk more with you about it, but there's a bunch of ways that Xyte has the ability to connect to gear, whether it's cloud-to-cloud connections to existing manufacturers, cloud monitoring tools, whether it's the deployment of an edge device that's able to gather network information from your network-connected devices, which I know PCD leverages as well. We're able to gather heartbeat, SNMP. There's a lot of ways to connect to devices. That's why this is a great partnership conversation that we'd love to sit down and talk more with you about. With that, we are just 2 minutes over. Hal, I cannot thank you enough for the insight and really just the overall guidance today. I've learned a lot. I think it's fantastic. Hopefully the audience has learned a lot, and I'm sure you're going to get some emails and contacts in LinkedIn to really understand how you were able to do this so successfully. So thank you very much for joining.
Thank you for the opportunity. Again, I'm super passionate about this. It's great for our industry, and I'm happy to speak to anybody who wants to reach out.
Amazing. And thank you to the audience for jumping in, also dealing with the reschedule that we had from Tuesday. Hopefully you guys found this very valuable. And of course, if anyone that would joined us today would love to find out more about really how Hal and PCD have taken this by the reins and are now leading the industry with this continued support program and incorporating it as a managed service platform into their managed services offering, we'd love to talk to you guys more. And of course, about the future of Xyte AI that you guys are going to all be hearing a lot more about to help you in generating better business for you and your customers. Thank you guys all again today. Thank you, Hal. And this recording will be sent out shortly. Hopefully talk to you all soon.
Take care. Bye.